We are on Nix Lake in South Rawdon, and this is part of our grounds that we have for the Litash Dog Sports facility and grounds.
Now, where did the name Litash come from?
From three of my original dogs, Liba, a German Shepherd, Taka, an Akita, and Shitu, an Akita.
Time around the lake is a sure sign of summer in Nova Scotia, and that goes for dogs too. And so today on NSK9, we're hanging around with water dogs.
I want something fun for the people to do with their dogs, and it's a matter of teaching them to swim first and then getting them to run off the dock and catch an object in air and then splash down in the water. It's great exercise, it's a good social time, so it's a wonderful day.
Can't all dogs swim?
No.
Okay.
Some of them have to be taught because some of them have a fear and they don't understand the water, and so they try to climb out on top of it, and so they're vertical instead of horizontal swimming, so we have to teach them that.
You'll find Nix Lake and the Litash Canine Academy about 40 minutes outside of Halifax. In a wilderness setting, Bob Autumnbright is involved in everything from agility to obedience and many other canine pursuits. But what brings people here today to the lake on the back of his property is the last day of the season for a program called Water Dogs, a program which combines learning to swim with the fun of jumping off docks into the waters beyond.
So how long have you been doing this here?
I would say probably about 15 years plus.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, see, I would have said that the sport of water dogs is sort of new to this area, but it really isn't.
No, we've been doing it for ages.
I think most people have a sense of how you teach a person to swim. How do you teach a dog to swim?
The big thing is supporting the rear end and giving them confidence, letting them calm down in the water, teaching them to steer, which you have to do, and then they're set to go.
So wouldn't dogs be scared of jumping off a wharf into the unknown?
They are a little bit, but we take it in little steps. The first thing that we do is we teach them to swim, of course, and then to retrieve off the shore. Then they start jumping off the side of the dock so they can land in the water, but they'll touch the ground.
Okay.
And then once they get a nice leap out, they're not going to sink. So they stay on top of the water. So it's a matter of building their confidence step by step.
It really is a lot like teaching a person to swim. It's learning there's nothing scary about landing in the water. And once you've done it a few times, well, it's just fun after that.
Your dog, doesn't have to have any real obedience. Basics come, sit down, and we teach them to retrieve. We teach them to swim. And it's a social, so they learn how to behave around other dogs as well and people, and they get focused on their owners. And that way they'll listen to them no matter what's going on. And it's just great, but it doesn't take a whole lot to get them involved.
Sometimes you see the dogs sort of break when they come to the end.
Yeah.
Is that just getting nervous, or they're not ready to jump?
It's sometimes the timing of the throw.
Okay.
And it's quite
so you're
a
training
precise
the people
thing.
Too.
Exactly. It's always teamwork, right? In any dog sport you do, it's always teamwork. And but the dogs will adapt and you adapt. But that's it. If the throw is off, even a blink of an eye, the dog says, "Are you going to throw it?" And that's what happens. So, but people over the year, they get really, really good at their throws. Oh my goodness, we've seen dogs that when the toy lands in the water, they'll dive and they'll go completely under the water to get it. And it's just a matter of, mistiming and sometimes falling in, sometimes knocking a person in. So it's, So people
make sure not to bring their cell phones with them. There are certain dogs that I think of as water dogs, right? Who, retrievers maybe, but are there dogs that would surprise me that would be good at this sort of thing, or?
Well, we've got a little terrier called Zoe today, and she's fantastic, and I think she'll surprise you. And we've got border collies, we do have the retrievers, but all dogs can do it. We've got a beautiful American Staffy, and she just loves it, so it's open to all breeds.
Well, when we adopted Zoe from the SPCA, they said that we needed to take obedience classes, so we signed up with Bob Bright and Litesh here, and we did a few different dog sports after the obedience classes, and he talked about water dogs, and Zoe doesn't swim. Zoe's a terrier, not sure how that's gonna go. So we decided to come out one day, and we were pushing her off the dock, and she's pulling to the shore and crying and whimpering, and you know, the first class, we're driving home and like, we're torturing our dog. There's no way we should be doing this. And we called Bob, and Bob says, you know, it's just a confidence thing. Come back, we'll work on it. And you know, 6 years later, we can't keep Zoe out of the water. It's her favorite thing to do. She's had knee surgery. The swimming is a wonderful exercise for her. And you know, she's passionate about this sport. I mean, we just say in the morning, we're going to the farm. We're going to the farm, and you know, she starts getting excited and she's ready to go.
And I feel like some dogs really do well with height, and some dogs have quite a bit of distance, and other dogs, they almost seem to fall off the wharf. I mean, all having fun. But.
Oh, yeah, and it just depends on their level of training that they've had. Some of the dogs just excel at it, and they catch on really, really quickly. And it's like just a kid standing at the edge of the pool. Jump in, jump in. Some kids take a little bit of time. Other kids are diving in, no problem. And but some of the dogs, you know, if they're just getting into it, they need to build up their confidence level, and it's a great sport for confidence. The advanced dogs, they're usually the ones that'll run down, no trouble catching it in midair. And then the intermediate is when they know how to swim, they know the concept of the sport, but they just need a little bit more practice with the catching aspect of it. But we've actually got the two of them combined today.
This must be a great way to burn energy for your dog too. You know, we talk about taking your dog for a walk and everything, but I mean, they're really moving here.
Yeah, they're definitely burning calories, and you know, Zoe will go home, she'll probably take a nap, but we'll be out this evening and we'll be out at Chubby and going for a swim there too.
Yeah.
So unlike humans, dogs do actually have 3 eyelids. They have the standard upper and lower eyelid like humans do, but they have a 3rd eyelid that is located in the bottom corner of the eye. And this is thought to act as an extra mechanism for protection. It helps in moisture for the eye, as well as to remove and prevent foreign material from entering the eye. Owners often don't see their dog's eyelids elevated, but they can become elevated if the dog is showing symptoms of sickness or pain, irritation associated with a condition of the eye. It would be recommended that if a dog owner does see the 3rd eyelid elevated, that they let a veterinarian know to make sure everything is okay.
And the way I got into it was we were in Ottawa with one of my young dogs, and she had a pool, so decided to give it a try, and he loved it. It was like you'd given him $1 million. So we went to our first competition. He did really well, and I came home, and the next summer I bought a pool and started from there. First I had a lab way back in the day, and that was my love of dogs for sure. Then I got my first flat coat in 2007, and it pretty much started there. Versatile hunting dog, and we owned the farm. It's been in a family forever, so once I moved up here, it was just a natural progression.
That natural progression is Aqua Terra Kennels. An hour outside of Halifax, surrounded by farmland, Andy Tees has been training dogs in sports that include hunting, tracking, and canine water activities. A little different than the lake atmosphere at Litash, the splashes here are heard from a pool designed specifically for competition-style training.
Dogs will come here and they'll learn to jump off the ramp, or some aren't, happy to be in the pool, so we get them in, we get them swimming. But what we do here is we focus on if people want to compete. I have lots of folks that come just for fun, but if people want to compete, they can come here and they can get that training that they need, that they can go compete elsewhere. I have some people that go to Florida for the winter, so they train here in the summer, and when they go away for the winter, they do some training with their dogs and they do some competition. So I make sure that I incorporate as much of the sanctioned event and environment that they would see going to any of the facilities anywhere else.
So what does it mean to have a sanctioned facility?
Your dock has to be a certain length, and your pool has to be a certain length as well. So 40-foot dock, and the dog's allowed to use as much or as little of that dock when you're competing or when you're training. But the dog has to jump into the pool. That's regulation. There's a measurement banner that goes down the side. So most of the pools are 40. Now there's even a 50-foot pool, but those pools are measured based on, that the dog is jumping 24 inches off the water, and then he's jumping out. And so it's a level playing field across whichever facility is hosting the event. There's a couple of different sports that you can do with it. One is distance. One is a height jump as well. There's another one that you jump at a bar and grab a toy down from it. It's pushed out so far over the pool. The principles for doing it are all the same. A dog either looks at a toy and jumps at it, or a dog looks at a toy up in the air and jumps up to it. So everything is built off the premise that a dog needs to understand that first it needs to go off the dock, but then it's called tracking the toy. You want the dog to always be looking for that toy, so whether it's up high or whether it's out far, the dog's focused on it and they're jumping towards it. So this jump that you're seeing right here, this is my boy Argus, and this is called tracking the toy. So what you do is you teach them to look up at the toy, and see how he caught it there?
Yep.
He's always expecting that he's going to be able to catch that. So by adding distance on the dock and then giving him more room to catch, you throw that toy out a little bit further. Laws of physics, they're going to jump higher, they're going to jump further, and that's what you do. You get them looking up at it, and that's what we want. See again how she's looking up at that toy? You can see there we've added a whole bunch of distance.
Too.
That's right. That's right. So the goal is to get them as close to the end of the dock, but as you see her take off, she's taking off upward.
Are you going to need a longer pool?
Eventually, absolutely. That's the goal. Work myself into a 50-foot pool, be able to justify it. Look at the height that she has there.
How hard is it to teach a dog this sort of thing?
It honestly varies. I've had some dogs that have come that are little tiny dogs that you would think would never jump off that dock, and they go 100 miles an hour. We like to start them out on the ramp so that they get familiar coming in and out of the water, and that's usually where they start jumping. Other dogs you have come in and they're labs and they balance on the edge of the dock and they're like, there's no way I'm going in that water. But for the most part, after 1 or 2 times, almost every dog goes. I have a border collie that's a huge jumper, but at the same time, I have a little fly ball dog. He would be considered a toy dog, and he jumps 26 or 27 feet. He's a massive jumper. Well, not a dog that you would see typically running around swimming in the water, but he loves it and it's what he does. So breed doesn't matter at all, and neither does size. Obviously, you're not going to get always going to get a dog that's a small dog jumping 27 feet, but you don't always get a big lab or a big sporting dog that jumps that far either. So you compete against the dogs that you compete against are the dogs that jump in your same bracket. So that's where you're competing, and then there's an overall winner, of course. But you know what it does? It brings a big sense of community because everybody loves to do things with their dogs, and the fact that we can do it in the pool, and it's become so much popular everywhere else. Even if you drive in as close as Maine, there's dogs that are qualifying in Ontario. There's dogs that are qualifying for like the elite levels that go down to Florida or Georgia for the World Championship. So we have some dogs that are huge jumpers in Nova Scotia, and it gives them a possibility of qualifying for that as well. Now there's a partnership with the CKC with a company called North America Diving Dogs. So we're happy to announce that as long as everything goes good with the way things are going in the world today, we should have our first event June, early July this year.
You can actually get a title for this, can't you?
You can get several, yeah. They start out with like a novice title, and then they go on from there. But yeah, it's represented through the CKC, plus the company themselves have their own titles.
For most of the people here in Upper Stewiacke, Nova Scotia, It's more about friendly competition than titles. And the number of people showing up with their dogs is growing quickly.
Since you've started Aquaterra,
Yeah.
you now have quite a few people coming out there, don't you?
I do, yeah. It's last year it got pretty big. The year before we were really just getting off the ground, but this year it's expecting that we're probably gonna have a couple hundred dogs a week running through here. So.
And you're not exactly close to the city, so
No.
people are making an effort to come out here. So it's something people are really into.
They sure are. Some of my customers drive 4 or 5 hours from New Brunswick to come down. Some come from the South Shore. Yeah, I actually put a cabin in down so people can have a place to stay when they come. So you know what? It's the love of it. There's not a lot of pools around, but the other thing is there's not a lot of sanctioned facilities too. So they're coming, and in some cases they're coming for the training because of what I've done with some of my dogs, but in a lot of cases they're coming because it's the pool and they want to learn how to do it. And you know, lots of dogs jump off docks and off of railway bridges or wherever these people train their dogs to, and until the dog jumps in the water, in the pool, they're not really certain what their dog can do.
The advantage of having a pool, you can do that pretty much anywhere.
You can for sure. They can set that pool up anywhere, and I have a portable dock. We do a big show at the Outdoor Sports Show, but again, the company that I'm affiliated with, they have a mobile dock. Right now, it's in the eastern U.S., but they're on board. They would bring it down if we needed it, things like that. So there's absolutely you can see it set up in the middle of a field here. You can set up and tear down in the middle of a field just about anywhere. As long as you have the water supply to fill the pool, you're good to go.
There are many reasons for a dog being itchy. I think the ones most people think about are parasites like fleas or lice, but sometimes it's a contact irritant like a chemical. But what I see more than anything is an allergic skin condition. The vast majority of the time, they're allergic to something in the environment, like a pollen or a mold, and it'll cause them to be very itchy. And unlike people who have seasonal allergies, people tend to get itchy eyes and runny nose. A dog will get very itchy armpits, itchy belly, itchy feet, and itchy ears. So the only way to really tease them apart is to see your vet.
Good, Zoe. Good girl.
People often think, oh, dogs, they can just swim. But you had the dog that actually couldn't swim.
Correct. And, you know, it was just fortitude in making her swim to shore. And then we would take her to the lake or the beach. We'd go out and make her swim to shore. Just build the confidence in the dog, and the dog just took off. So the
Because she's flying off the wharf now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's her favorite thing. And we can't, like that toy that's focused, I mean, you were in the water. She doesn't even bat an eye that somebody's there. She would jump through fire for that toy now. But her passion now for swimming is amazing. We say we're going swimming, and she's at the door now. And she was a dog that was terrified, absolutely terrified of the water, and just shake and shiver and didn't want to even be in it.
So how does that make you feel to see that change?
Oh, that third week when we get here and she just took off out the car door and ran to the lake. I mean, we were proud parents at that point, right? We're absolutely in love with this sport, and we've been doing it 6 years, and Zoe's 6 years old. So
wow.
we started when she was 5 months old.
Okay.
So it's been a blessing because it's something we get to do with her every week.
Because you don't really think of terriers as being the ones that jump off of a wharf.
Absolutely. And, you know, I've been here 6 years. I've seen some amazing dogs that have come and gone. You know, seeing like a large Great Dane learning to swim for the first time. And they fly off this dock with such joy. I mean, you've witnessed it here today. I mean, they just continue to want to go, and they are just happy. Well behaved. That's the crazy thing. They're not all running around because they're so focused on getting in line and getting that jump in.
You know what? I started out, like I said, my first event, there was a crowd of 3,000 people, and there was a pretty big following in Ontario. I was a little bit concerned at first to see if we were going to get that same kind of following, but it is caught on pretty fast. So I'm very pleasantly surprised. So I'm hoping to have a couple of local events off-site as well, some big events like at festivals or things like that. So I would say that future is bright.
Definitely try water dogs. Like there are other places in the province that do it. Get your dog out there, learn to swim. It is a great exercise for them. As they get older and their hips and their knees and the joints, it's a better exercise than walking.
And so each year, as spring and summer once again approach, the ice recedes, the pools are filled, and the splash of dogs landing in the water is joined with laughter and fun. This is a sport, after all, that is just as much about the people as it is about the dogs.
I've witnessed a dog terrified of the water to absolutely loving the water. So my journey just proves that any dog can learn to swim. It's a confidence thing. As Bob has taught us that, you know, teaching your dog, teaching the parents to teach the dog is more important. It's all about praise and getting that confidence. Once the confidence is there, the dogs will swim. All dogs seem to be able to swim. I've witnessed it. I've seen the same journey where we're pushing dogs off the side of the dock and then making them swim to shore. And to the point now they're flying off the dock. It is an amazing journey here.
It's not work. You know what, you get up and you can work a 12 or a 14 or 16 hour day, cutting grass and training dogs and doing whatever else, and you go to bed and you feel happy. I'm fortunate in that aspect for sure.
And how does it make you feel to see others coming to your place to enjoy the sport?
You know what, I guess that's probably the biggest driving factor besides being able to train my dogs and do what I do with my dogs and love it so much is when you watch people and when their dogs come out and do something they never expected their dog would do. I get a bigger sense of accomplishment watching that than probably anything else.
Oh, the people are great, and you probably notice everybody helps everybody else and gives the encouragement, and it's great. You know, I just enjoy these classes so much.
And it seems like everybody's enjoying it too. It doesn't feel like work watching people.
No.
You know, like they're just here having fun and getting some guidance.
Yeah, exactly, and that's it, and they look forward to it every week, and it is a great community, and I miss them over the winter. And I can hardly wait for the spring to come again so I can see these people again.
The heartworm and flea and everything.
We call the mixed breeds all Canadians.
Okay, I like that.
All
That's
Canadians.
Better.
All
Mixed breed
Canadian.
dog, an all Canadian dog.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good name for them.
Yeah.
Visit us online to tell us your dog stories for possible inclusion in future episodes. And don't forget to share photos of your canine friends on social media with the hashtag NSK9.
I just have a special communication with dogs. I've always been attached to dogs and drawn to them, and they're that way with me. And I just feel so good when I am around dogs. You can see my blood pressure would drop, my heart rate drops, and I almost go into a zone, as you call it, and it makes me feel good. So that's why I do this, and I've got the perfect job.